What's up, my geeks? Today we're taking a look at this. This is the Tobenone. It is a 20-in-1 docking station with 3 monitors and works for your MacBook and it works for your Windows device. And you have 150 watts of power that you can connect up for your laptop, power your other devices. We're going to take a look at it next on Geekazine. What's up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine. Think magazine, put in a geek. Now, Toberone did send me product to review, and they are sponsoring this video, but all opinions are of my own of the review. You can check out everything over at geekazine.com/review. And of course, if you have a product that you want me to take a look at, all you have to do is contact me on the page. Now, Toberone is relatively new for me. This is a triple monitor docking station, and it's 20 devices in one. So you can plug in 3 HDMIs, you can plug in 2 display ports, you have microSD cards that go at 104 megabits per second, you have 150 watt DC in, you have 10 gigabit USB-C 3.2, 1 gig Ethernet ports, 45 watt PD, and all the USB ports that you really need for anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this up, we're going to take a look at it, and then we're going to connect it up to a Mac, and then we'll connect it up to the Windows PC to see how it works. We're just going to unbox this, and it's really a simple unboxing. Just go like that and let it slide. There we go. Up on top, looks like we have a set of instructions right here. We have the dock right here, and we have a box right here. Let's go to the box really quick. It's a pretty heavy box. I'm assuming that's where the power cord comes in. And then the dock itself. Let's go ahead and get rid of these boxes. This is the dock right here. Let's pull that off. There we go. And then let's take a look at what we got in the box. All right, so what we have here, we have a USB-C to C with a C to A adapter. I'm assuming that's for plugging it into the PC or the Mac. Now, keep in mind, this is not a Thunderbolt device. This is just a USB-C. But what we've got here, we got the cable, and now we've got the power plug, which this is the plug right here. Now, the one thing about these plugs, I'm never really a fan of these types of plugs because they have to sit in the wall all by themselves. I'd rather have this little wart guy separate from here, but look at that. That's crazy big. So if you plug it into a wall, it might just, if it's a loose plug, it might just fall out. It's 24 volt and 6.25 amps. So that'll definitely power a laptop. That'll definitely power some other devices as well. But that is really big to be something that you plug into a wall. So that's the plug. Let's go ahead and take a look at this right here and get a closer look. We're going to start from bottom to top. We got 2 rows here. We've got our DC in, and then of course the plug that goes to your host. That's your Windows or your Mac computer. We've got the 1 gig Ethernet jack right here. We've got 2 USB running at 5 gigabits per second. We've got the 3 HDMI, which will run at 4K 60 hertz each. From here, these are the 3 HDMI right here. From here, we have it looks like a combo jack for your headphones and your microphone if you need it. And then you have 2 USB A's, which will run at a standard 480 megabits per second. And then of course we have 2 display ports. Now keep in mind, you can't plug in 5 monitors here. You can either plug in 3 HDMI or 2 display ports, totaling up to 3 monitors at 4K. And then finally at the top, we have a standard SD card and a TF card or micro SD card, however you want to call it. These run at 104 megabits per second each. Up on top, we have a power button. So you just press it up on top here. I'm not really a big fan of power buttons on docks. I'd rather have them stay on 24/7. And if I want to control the power, I just basically unplug it. But this one does have a power button. There's no vents or anything. This is all one solid piece of metal. On the bottom, We have a nice little rubber bottom so it doesn't move around. But then in the front, we have a couple more plugs here. These are 4 USB-C ports. Now, the first 2 are 10 gigabit ports, and then the other one is a PD, 45 watt PD. So that's where you plug in other devices to charge, like maybe a laptop or an iPad or something like that. But you definitely want to have your host in this plug, and these are just for charging. All right, with that said, that's how it sits on your desk. I suppose you could set it on the side, but it's meant to be set upright like so. Let's go ahead and plug this into a computer. This is what I'm going to have set up with the main displays here. We have 2 4K screens right here. I got the third 4K screen as the main monitor here. And then, of course, we have the unit right here. I have a keyboard and mouse. In fact, if I flip this around like this, you'll see this. There's the keyboard, there's the mouse. And, of course, we've got to turn this on. We've already have it plugged in, so let's go ahead and turn it on. And turning it on is fairly straightforward. On the top of this unit, there is that button. You hit the button, and it lights up. It's the only thing that'll light up on this unit, but it tells you that it is working. And I did see my monitor just kick in from there because I have all 3 monitors connected up in the back here. Right about here, there's monitor 1, monitor 2, monitor 3. Now, before you move forward, you have to make sure that you have certain software on this device. It's software that a lot of these USB 3.2 devices, docks to monitors use. That is what transports the monitor signal through here to your computer. And it's called Silicon Motion. And you just basically go to the website for Silicon Motion. You go to products, and then we scroll down to the SM770 driver. Now, keep in mind, there is an area where it's basically a product brief for the SM770. This is a PDF. If you want to read more about what the driver does, you got to go down a little bit more to where it says driver. And then, of course, we have the SM76X driver and the 770 driver. That is what we're going to choose. And we're going to download that. It's asking for Windows 11 or Windows 10 or Mac or Android. So we're doing this, in this case, we're doing this for macOS. So we're going to hit the download button. You got the instructions and all that. There we go. And save that. Once we install the driver, of course, we'll need to put in all our credentials to do so on a Mac and on a PC for that matter. But then this will start to work from there, and then we'll be able to see the screens. Because right now, all we see is the Silicon Motion logo on the screens, but we can't do anything more than that. So make sure you have that driver installed. All right, so with a Mac, you also have to go into your settings and enable it. It's called the macOS Instant View app. And once we have that enabled, we can go ahead and start that up. As you can see, it's connected through this right here. Now we have this available for our monitors. In fact, I'm looking at my main monitor and I can see it right there. So I know that it's active. Now I have this set up so I can use this as a multiple display. I had to also do some arrangement, as you can see down here, but we got all 3 displays going. Now keep in mind, the really cool thing about this is this dock is actually powering this display system. So I can actually run it from here like this with the cords in. There are the 2 HDMI cords. We can have it connect up to the 2 USB here, and then of course the power right into here on the dock. So now I have this arranged right. We've got all 3 monitors that we can see, which is great. We'll open up this program right here. So now I can move it up and down between these 2 monitors and be able to see what I want, and of course work with all 3 monitors. And it's all getting powered through this little box right here once the driver was installed. All right, so now I have it hooked up to a Windows desktop, and not only do I use the Windows desktop, I'm also going through just a USB-A 3.2 rather than the USB-C. So I'm using the adapter right here. As you can see, it's actually connecting to all 4 monitors, which is awesome. This is the main monitor for over there. We move it over, and then we have the 2 monitors down and up, and then of course this monitor right here. So if I took this and moved it around, you would see that it moves over here, it moves down here, and then ultimately it moves right here. If I'm assuming that I'm going to be putting my laptop over here. I just don't have the desk space to do it. And then the dock is right over here. Let's talk about the pros and cons with the Toberone 20N1 docking station. I don't like the fact that the plug is a wall plug. It should be a separate plug with an extension to the wall. It's such a big plug. If you plug it into a side port, whether it be a US plug or a European plug or a different type, because they offer 3 different types of plugs, you're going to have a hard time keeping it in wherever you plug it in. I have it in a strip and it's doing fine, so it'll be perfect there. But I would not want to hang this off of a unit, especially in a hotel, because a lot of those plugs can get loose and you just can't plug it in. It becomes impossible. The other thing that I don't care too much for are power buttons on these devices. It makes absolutely no sense to turn this thing on and turn it off. Just leave it be and kind of get rid of that. But it's minimal, and it does let you know that it is working, because it is the only light that does turn on when this is set up. Other than that, it's a pretty cool device. I did a couple tests, a little bit of longevity tests to it, and it did not heat up too much. These things will heat up a little bit, so be prepared for that, but it's all within reasonable temperatures. And of course, it really depends on what you're doing in here. If you're doing a ton of transfer files or anything like that, yeah, it's going to get a little bit warmer. If you have 3 4K monitors and doing the transfer, it's going to get a little bit warmer. That's how it works. If you're powering multiple devices, it's going to get a little bit warmer. That's how it works. But it never got to the point where it was really hot to touch or hard to pick up or anything like that. I like the fact that it's vertical as opposed to horizontal, because most of them are horizontal. It's kind of nice to just have that a little bit more hidden on the desk. And in fact, if you had a monitor, I could actually hide this behind the monitor so you don't normally see it. And all you'd see are the 4 USB-C ports, which you would use for power anyway. So you'd probably have your tablet or your phone plugged into one of these 2 ports right here. Other than that, it worked really well. 1 gig internet speed was just fine. Being able to go back and forth between a Mac and a PC, that's always a plus when it comes to these docks, at least for me. And I know there are some of you out there that run both Windows and Mac, so having a dock that can do either is great. It does need the driver to run on there, so you just have to download and install before you plug this in. Otherwise, you can't see anything. If you are using like a Mac Mini or a Windows desktop, you will have to plug in the monitor directly to a graphics card or the HDMI on the Mac to get the driver installed, and then go ahead and plug this thing in. Also, keep in mind, they give you a lot of HDMI ports. You only can do 3 monitors at a time. If you try to plug in more than 3 monitors, it's just not going to work. For the most part, the Ethernet ran at 1 gigabit per second. We had the USB-A working to their parameters. Of course, you could plug in, I didn't test this out too much, but you could plug in headphones. You can plug in a 3-pole headset, and it works really well. The SD card's up on top, allowing you to transfer your photos or anything else from devices that you use SD cards or TF cards with. In all, this device is pretty decent. $249 is the MSRP on this as of this recording. And so if you're looking for something, especially for something that switches back and forth between Mac and PC, this is a pretty decent dock to get. But the real question is, what are you looking for in a dock? Is there a port or something that is not on here that you're looking for? Let me know down in the comments below over at Geekazine.com or youtube.com/Geekazine, where you can like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to know when the next video comes out. Until next time, my name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching. You guys geek out and cover all your ports with Tobenone.